day, viewers. So by the way, I am Chini Elirin Solis from BSED English 2. So for today's video, we're gonna discuss about WCIS model and how it applies in the classroom. So before that, let us first know the objectives for today's discussion. So here are the objectives of today's discussion. So at the end of this topic, we are be expected to be reflective and apply all the fundamental ways in teaching. And second, be able to formally place and understand students' mind and apply the nature of WICS. So in WCIS model, intelligence is viewed as a set of fluid abilities to learn from experience and to adapt to one's understanding. Individuals possess abilities that can be nurtured into competencies and further cultivated into expertise. So in this theory, if a student knows how to sing, it will eventually turn to be one of his competencies, where his or her ability will be used to compete in any related contest. And if this person continues to work on his ability, it will be turned into one of his expertise. So the WICS is more on recent model of how humans think and reason that can help us understand how students to learn effectively. The WICS stands for W for wisdom, I intelligent, C creativity, and S for synthesized. Sternberg described the WICS model as follows. So the basic idea is that the citizens of the world need creativity to form a vision of where they want to go and to cope with change in the environment. Analytical intelligence to ascertain whether their creative ideas are good ones. Practical intelligence to implement their ideas to pursue others of the values of those ideas. And wisdom in order to ensure that the ideas will help achieve some ethically based common good over the long and short terms, rather than just what is good for them and their families and friends. So basically, the proponent of this WICS is Sternberg's, where he proposed this theory to help us get beyond self-fulfilling prophecies in admissions, instructions, and assessment. So unlike in traditional method of teaching, where a teacher uses tests or examination to see students' stock knowledge and basic skills, in this WICS, we'll see how one's students learn more than just going through those examinations. So one cannot think creatively to go beyond what is known. For example, if one does not have the knowledge to move forward, similarly, one cannot apply what one knows if one knows nothing. The problem is that stored knowledge can be inert and essentially unusable. So analytical skills can help one evaluate existing ideas, but they cannot help one come up with ideas of one's own, nor can they help one adjust to a world that is changing rapidly and that leaves behind people who cannot flexibly adapt to its shifting demands. So the risk of traditional system is that it creates self-fulfilling prophecies, whereby those who do not test well are not given full opportunities in college to succeed. So WICS is a framework that can help us get beyond self-fulfilling prophecies in admission, instruction, and assessment. So here in WICS, we will know how we teach students in analytically, creatively, practically, and wisdom. So applying the WICS model. So the uses of WICS model include admission, instruction, and assessment. So in teaching, teachers are not just giving out examination or tests, but here in this theory, students will go through these three ways. First, admission, second, instruction, and third, assessment. So how do we apply WICS model in the classroom? Applying WICS model, teaching analytically to ascertain whether their creative ideas are good ones. So here are the ways on how we teach analytically. First is analyze. So when we say analyze, it defines as examine methodically and in detail the constitution or structure of something, especially information. Just for the instance, you let your students read a book of Nole Me Tangere. So basically, if we teach in traditional way, we want to see how much our students learn. We usually go through examination or test. But here in WICS model, we let them analyze. We let them analyze the development of Ibarra in Nole Me Tangere and ask them how they interpret the story based on their understanding and how the teachings applied in real life. Second is critic. So when we say critic, it defined as a careful judgment in which someone gives an opinion about something. Just for the instance, we'll let the students examine a painting. So aside from asking them how they saw or how they feel towards the painting, we'll let them judge or critique the paint for them to evaluate how the painting goes well or to know their opinions about the painting. Together with their opinions, we'll know each of their perspectives that somehow reflects how they view things. Third is compare and contrast. So when we say compare and contrast, it means looking for similarities and differences between two things. Just for the instance, comparing the two theories of Sternberg, which is successful intelligence theory, and WICS. So students will know how these two theories differ to each other and see their similarities as well. Evaluate. When we say evaluate, it means to determine the significance, worth, or condition of usually by careful appraisal and study. Just for the instance, you are teaching the theory of evolution. So in order for the students to understand and see the importance of this theory, we require them to evaluate the validity of the theory of evaluation through making a term paper. If assess. So when we say assess, it is to evaluate or estimate the nature, ability, or quality of. Just for the instance, you introduce a topic to your students about how we should manage traffic. So to let your student assess, we let them think about ways or strategies that could help resolve the problem of traffic. We let them solve the problem by assessing an effective solution to the problem. So now, applying WICS model in teaching creatively. So when we say teaching creatively, it is to discover the fundamental physical principles that underlies all of the following problems. So when we say creatively, it is defined as a tendency to generate or recognize the ideas, alternatives, or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves and others. So how do we teach creativity? So first, create. So when we say create, it is defined as to bring something into existence. So just for the instance, to see and to develop the creativeness of our students. So we implement activities which are related to artistics by making an eco dress. So we will see how students create a piece of dress where it uses with recycled materials creatively. Discover. So when we say discover, it means find something or someone unexpectedly or in the course of a search. So let's take for example by letting the students make a project proposal. Students must make a proposal that based upon the problems inside the campus. They're gonna discover ways on how they resolve the problem, then formulate it into a project proposal. This is to test how they solve problems in creative way. Fourth, imagine. So when we say imagine, it is forming a mental image or a concept of. So for the instance, you are teaching in a history class. So you let the students create a scenario by letting them imagine about what if EDSA revolution did not happen in 1986. So what do you think our country will be like at the present and 10 years later? So in this way, students will picture out things and formulate scenarios that answers the question. Fifth, suppose that. For example, you let your students design a computer game to help children learn about love and sacrifice. So to test their creativity, you let them describe the game they created. So now, applying WICS model in practically teaching. So when we say practically teaching, it is a way more interactive than theoretical. it does not involve just teaching and lecturing irrespective of whether the student is able to understand the concepts or not. Theory education usually employs teachers who teach in a plain manner of books, which or may not include interactive exercises. So when we say practical, it refers to a person, idea, project, or etc. as being more concerned with or relevant to practice than theory. So how do we teach practically? So first is apply. So when we say apply, it means to put to use especially for some practical purposes. So just for the instance, you let the students read a story, and that story must fill with a lot of teachings or lesson. So in order to have application, you're gonna ask your students about how the moral values or lessons be applied in real life to see if they can understand or relate the story. Second, to put into practice. So just for the instance, putting into practice what you learned about classroom rules in making your own classroom rules poster. Third, implement. So when we say implement, it is the carrying out, execution, or practice of a plan. So as a teacher, we implement a lesson applying principle of teaching that one has made. Lastly, applying WICS model in teaching wisdom. The teaching wisdom aims to reclaim the narrative and author of the culture of teaching as teachers see it, from the vantage point of the teacher themselves through a recognition of their professional knowledge, their evidence base, their decision making, and their practice. So how do we teach wisdom? So first, try to find a common good. So as a teacher, we should see to it that the topic we'll discuss must be applicable and has a common good to all students for them to relate the topic. Second, see things from other points of views. We can't be called as an effective teacher if we only focus to our own opinions and beliefs. We need to hear out our students' perspective and opinions regarding to the topic for us to understand and somehow learn for it. Third, balance your own interests with those of others and of institutions. We should be professional in teaching. Leave out all the personal matter and focus to our teaching. We should not bring personal matter during discussion and don't treat the students as an opponent. We should extend our understanding to them and let's not be too hard to our students. Fourth, look at the long term as well as a short term. We should always look for both short term and long term because short term goals are act as a milestone in our journey to reach the long term goal of our life. They help gauge how far you have come and how long you still have to travel to reach our ultimate destination. And fifth, reflect how one can base his every decision on positive ethical values. As a teacher, we can't just judge students on each decision but reflect it in a positive way. And appreciate that in life, what is seen is true and effective may vary over time and place. So, before I end this report, let me leave you this quote. Your role as a teacher is not to educate the mind alone, but to educate the soul as well. So that's the end of my report. I hope you have learned something of today's discussion. Thank you for watching and God bless you all.